How's it going, guys and gals? This is Advanced Warrior here, and welcome to the first of three Sami replay commentaries on Advanced Wars by Web. To fill you guys in a little bit, earlier on my channel I kind of released a teaser video of how I'm going to be doing a lot of Sami replays for these upcoming replay commentaries. Just a fair warning of the lack of diversity of CEOs coming from my end. But to be fair, sort of, my last couple of Advanced Wars by Web replays and live plays, I have had a bit of CEO diversity based on each of the tiers. That being said, the tiers were something that kind of surprised me when I first discovered Advanced Wars by Web. As a child, a younger Advanced Warrior, I really enjoyed Sami. I thought she was one of the best CEOs in the game. However, looking at Advanced Wars by Web's tier list, she's somewhere in the middle, and then can go down, which did kind of hurt me a little bit. I have played Advanced Wars by Web with CEOs of the higher tier, and I just seem to not be able to pull it off. I can be able to play well, but then the CEO just so happens to be stronger, and no matter how well I play, I probably couldn't win. Maybe if I was a great player, but yeah, some CEO matchups are very bad for Sami. But yeah, something I did notice in the CEO charts, standard she's tier 2. In Fog she drops all the way down to tier 4. I have a friend who actually does kind of argue that Sami could be tier 3, and I can kind of see that if you play her right. So what I did was I decided to challenge myself and try to play against tier 3 CEOs while I play as Sami in Fog, because tier 2 Sami is standard, tier 4 Sami is Fog. So let's go ahead and cover Sami. Sami's foot soldiers, infantry and mechs, have a plus 30% attack and a 50% capture point bonus, rounded down however. Other direct units lose 10% attack, however. Although, in addition, she does gain plus 1 movement on her transports, which really do synergize well with her infantry and mechs. So, going from the top down, foot soldiers, infantry, and mechs with plus 30 attack is already very strong. Infantry fights, Sami is most likely going to win. If you take a mech against a recon or a tank, they are going to do a lot of damage, and you are going to get a lot of value with them if you get that first strike. The capture point bonus was something I was able to notice first glance as a kid, seeing cities go all the way down to 5 points compared to every other CEO's 10 points. And even if they get like 1, 2, or 3 damage, Sami can still capture that that next turn and get that city. So it is really hard to interrupt the caps of Sami's infantry. Other CEOs, you do 1 damage, they won't be able to capture it in 2 days. It will take them 3 days, which gives you another turn to maybe try to completely stop that cap. As for the other direct units, losing 10% attack, so this is anything that's not an artillery, rocket, missile, or battleship. I'm pretty sure that's all the indirects in Advanced Wars by Web. So those are fine. However, tanks, which are pretty predominant in Advanced Wars armies, do lose that 10% attack. So tank engagements are a bit more risky. So you maybe have to set up with indirects to try to get that full value, and then minus 10% attack on the tank might not be so much. You do, however, most maps do have comm towers, so which does kind of mitigate it. But again, instead of your tanks being 110 to 100 like everyone else, it would just be a regular 100, because tanks are a 90 to 100. First number being the attack power, second power being the defense, which is the normal for most COs. If for day-to-days, without a day-to-day, they are 100. Alright, transport gains plus 1 movement, so this allows you to try to bring your infantry a lot closer to more contested properties. And if you're going for more contested properties, sometimes your opponent might not expect it, and they would have to make sure their units reach out towards those contested properties to cover them. However, most of the time they won't have a single unit that can go up to a Sami infantry and deal 7 damage to it, because I believe 7 damage is the cutoff where Sami cannot capture that city the next turn. You'll most likely need 2 units to completely interrupt that cap, and if you're closer to the center, that is less likely to happen, which is what I think is nice about Sami in Fog. For her weakness, as I did discuss, to mitigate that, you can go for a income advantage, which allows you to tech up. A medium tank with 10% less attack is actually still very good against, say, a regular tank. And you could maybe have her normal indirects to possibly support it. But yeah, I think teching up as Sami is one of the best things that she can do, and you could maybe save some income for the next turn, because Sami's infantry are already well. It avoids base skipping, keeps your unit count up, and those infantry already have good value. So yeah, a lot of synergy with Sami's day-to-day. Alright, so moving on to her powers. Her first power is Double Time. Double Time gives Sami's foot soldiers a plus 50% attack boost, as well as giving all of them +1 movement. So first off, I do want to quickly mention that in Advanced Wars by Web, CO powers give you a plus 10% attack and defense, so it could, for your tanks and other direct units, they can have a normal tank power for once, which is pretty nice. But Double Time for her infantry and mechs. Double Time can allow infantry to capture one city, or capture a couple cities that are like one tile off, and if you're able to capture a multitude of them in the same turn, it's going to force your opponent to possibly try to stop the caps, or like do a lot more to interrupt it completely, because like I said, I believe 3 HP is what you need to achieve to prevent a 2-turn capture from the Sami infantry. And if you have another one, it's just gonna make your opponent invest more units into trying to interrupt caps, and they probably won't have enough, so you might get like maybe half of the properties that you captured when you started using Double Time. And plus you get that 10% defense, so you're really facing a 150-140 infantry, because the defense stacks with the city defenses. So yeah, if you're facing a Sami and they use Double Time, they start capturing cities, that does help them get that slight income advantage. As for mechs with 3 HP, they can reach a lot better and get those valuable first strikes, especially with a plus 50% defense, which can do a lot to a tank, especially if they're on the terrain with very much less defense. Victory March, a lot of people kind of view Sami by her Victory March. Victory March is probably her most popular power, her super. It gives all her infantry and mechs +2 movement, as well as a plus 70% attack boost, and they can instantly capture properties even at 1 HP. So some people like to use Victory March to get a HQ cap and win the game from there, or they can use it to gain a bunch of properties, which shouldn't be too hard because all her infantry are getting +2 movement. Very rarely do I see people use Victory March and try to go on the offensive with it. Like say like mechs trying to attack tanks. But I guess I can see that happening with if you attack. I'm sorry. If you're attacking enemy units to free up properties. Victory March is also what I believe what makes Sami drop down, because you need to scout out those cities. A good player is going to know to put a unit on their cities to prevent Sami from capturing it. I have had fog games where I thought I could capture properties, I tried to test my luck, but every single city that I was able to capture had a unit on it that I was not able to kill. And that victory march just ended up being wasted. And it's expensive too, 8 stars. Yeah, if you're going to use it, you either make sure you gain properties, or you can capture the HQ. That was a lot on Sami. I'm very sorry, guys. Alright, so let's move on to my opponent, Kindle. Kindle is the city specialist in Advanced Wars by Web. All units, even air units, gain a plus 40% attack while on urban terrain. This could either be the, let's see if I can remember it, the HQ, the bases, the ports, airport as well, cities, we don't have labs, and comm tower. So anything that is basically capturable. Missile silos are not capturable, so she does not gain that bonus. But Kindle is considered to be one of the most annoying COs in Tier 3, considering the extreme damage boost that she gets just for sitting on a property. If you're trying to face a tank, a Kindle tank on a city, that Kindle tank is a 140 to 130. 140 attack power, 130 defense. If you get that first strike, you're most likely going to lose value. Kindles most likely get value. So yeah, they can just sit on properties that that you want to capture, and if you want to get rid of that tank, you're probably going to lose a lot more, and it's not worth it to try to take down a Kindle tank as such. Air units getting the boost as well is also very nice. It makes Kindle very scary when it comes to trying to capture properties, and I think it's an interesting matchup for Sami, especially considering what her power is, which is Urban Blight. Urban Blight deals 3 damage to all enemy units on any properties that are affected by her day to day. So everything that you see here, all enemies standing on that is going to get 3 damage, even your own. Also, her units get an 80% attack boost on properties, which is pretty crazy. You can usually one-shot things if you have the same units, like possibly a medium tank on a city with Urban Blight can one-shot another medium tank. So positioning is key, especially for Kindle's opponents. You don't necessarily want to stand next to cities. You also don't want to try to build expensive units, or else they will just deal 3 damage, then you have to pay for it, and it won't be at full HP. Urban Blight in Fog is a bit more tricky though, because you do not know if you're going to be getting value off of the fresh units. However, against Sami, it can possibly assist in interrupting her caps. Deals 3 damage, you need to deal 4 more damage, and you will interrupt that Sami capture. And High Society. High Society gives all units on the map plus 3 HP attack power for every city owned. I'm pretty sure it's cities, not your bases, ports, HQs, and such. So if you're capturing a lot of cities, which you do want to be aggressive with as Kindle, then you will get a nice firepower boost. As for being on urban terrain, 100 plus 130 attack. That can be pretty crazy, but I do like High Society for the global boost of all the units. So they won't have to worry about positioning. They will just have to worry about being attacked by it, because 3% can stack with all the cities that you do capture. And like I said, Urban Blight is a little more tricky to use, because you don't know if you're going to be getting that full value off the fresh units in Fog. Alright, that was a long time with the COs, holy crap. I'm pretty sure I basically covered everything. Now moving on to the map. The map is called Scavenger, and I think Scavenger is a good map for both Sami and Kindle. There's a lot of properties to capture, and I believe the contested properties are these 10 that I am currently aligning here. At first glance, you might think that, okay, it might be like an HQ race, bottom side goes to the right, try to kill his black boat, top side, vice versa. But there are shoals here in the middle that do let you across. It looks like two separate islands, but they are very connected to shoals. I believe there's like 7 ways for them to get across. 1 being here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's plenty of ways for units to move towards the top side, bottom to top, top to bottom, to try to defend the HQ. I have played against someone who didn't notice that, and also I made the same mistake. But yeah, the more you play, the more you learn. This port right here is actually fairly open. You can maybe use landers or even have a battleship. Just move it on this port and put it here, and it can cover a lot fairly well. So I think battleships are actually pretty nice in the Scavenger map. Comm towers are here in the middle, kind of contested. It's a 3 base. Airports in the corner. Pipe seams to kind of block the center, forcing units to go around unless you invest in breaking one. Alright, so that is Scavenger, and let's go ahead and start off with the replay. So, as simple infantry builds, you basically want to do that. My opponent's turn, they go for the city here. Usually, you want to get your base as soon as you can to keep up your unit count. I did mention how a property lead can help you win the game slowly, but really shortly. If you do have higher units and higher number of units and the better counterplay, then you will be able to not make the income count matter. You can win the fight and then probably earn back your properties. But yeah, so he goes for the city instead. He builds an infantry. And I'm pretty sure this was on accident. He accidentally forgets to build another infantry. He's player 1, and he's given a free infantry, and now we're even on infantry, and he's player 2, so it is fairly costly to accidentally miss your infantry. So my turn, I am going for the same city that my opponent does, but I am making sure that I have an infantry ready to capture the base as soon as I can. This is very important to capture your bases. And I repeat with the infantry builds. So he captures this one city, brings it onto this mountain, not really getting his base. As I've said, the sooner you get your base, the higher your infantry count can become. And this time he remembers to buy infantry on all of his bases. Turn 3, I finally go for my base before my opponent, so it's already not looking good for them. And I just move this infantry here. It can go for this one or this one. There isn't any real significant capture chains on this map. Maybe these 2 cities, to that comm tower, these 2 in the corner, but yeah, most of the cities, there's not a lot you can do with early capture gains. I moved my infantry on the shoal. I could go for this one, but as Sami, I want to be a bit more aggressive with my capture game, and so I can get this center one and then slowly start capturing, I would say, these more risky properties, because they are a little even toward my opponent's bases, and they could go for it and maybe kill some infantry. Standard infantry build, as I've said. Day 3 for my opponent, and he brings his infantry back. He can either go for this airport or this base, but you really want to be going for your bases. The more infantry you have, the better. And it looks like here he forgot to move his infantry again, so it's already not looking good for my opponent. Finally, I capture my base. I capture the city in the middle, and I am moving my infantry out. Infantry can either go for the city, not necessarily this one, because this one down here can go for that one. So realistically, I have like 2 other options. Move my infantry on the mountain. Unnecessary vision, but it is getting me towards that city back here. Standard infantry build. I'm already 3 units ahead of my opponent, and this time he goes for a very early airport capture. The cheapest air unit you can get is 5,000, which is a transport, and if you're transporting, if you want to get a transport as soon as you can, then yeah, maybe go for an airport. But the earlier you get a base, the much better. And so far you can kind of see it. I already have a lot more units than him, although he is although he has made a few mistakes. Infantry still moving up, and looks like he's still forgot his infantry in the back here. It's not looking good for my opponent. Moving my infantry in range to start capturing cities. I already have 3 in hand, and now I kind of feel like it was the time to go for my airport in the back. I already have 4 up here, 3 over here, so my infantry spread out is looking really nice. So I just thought, yeah, I could finally go for this neutral airport back here. You want to make sure you capture every city. Like, it's nice to get the more contested ones, but also make sure you get the ones in the back. I have won a game as Hawk versus a Convoy, and when I looked at the replay, I saw that my opponent didn't capture all of his properties in the back. And Convoy's units are expensive, so I probably had a better unit count or something. But yeah, make sure you know your capture game, know when to move your units out, and know when to move some units back to get those back neutral properties. And I build my first tank because I have the funds for it. And infantry to fill up the bases. Turn 5? He's going for his comm tower. I don't really agree with this currently. Comm towers do not give you any income. So yeah, like getting an early comm tower, not really the best thing you can do. But you also don't want to get it too late, because that plus 10% attack can make a difference. So you can probably go ahead and get a comm tower when you feel like it is getting dangerous. I probably could build an early recon and maybe try to get close to it, but that's just not very efficient. It's also very, very aggressive to do so. Finally, he moves his bottom infantry, and he's filling up his bases. But I'm already like 3 units ahead of him. Alright, and I capture those 3, and I proceed to move my my infantry towards another, I would say, safer property. Like I did say, I do feel like this diagonal of 10 properties are the contested properties. Move my infantry up, can capture this one the next turn. Infantry is moving here, can go for either one of these 2. I feel like these are a lot safer to go for, unless my opponent is very aggressive. My tank moves forward because this is I'm making this my strong side. This top side is my weaker side. Finally go for that airport in the back, moving my infantry forward, and I build an artillery because it is just enough funds for me to build 2 infantry. If I build a tank, I would leave a base open. And I also built this artillery because it's not weakened. As we mentioned, only her direct units have a minus 10% firepower. But I also hope to possibly break one of these pipe seams, because I think if you break one of them, it's a really nice way to push out units towards the center rather than looping around towards the bottom. Alright, so my opponent's turn. Finally gets his comm tower. It's at least secured for him, at least, but he's not going to be attacking anything soon, so that early comm tower, you're not really getting a whole lot of value off it. Finally captures his infantry, and you can kind of finally see why he went for this airport. He went for a turn 6 battle copter, which I do find pretty early, but it would probably catch me by surprise if this battle copter was, like, say a turn or 2 already out, and I don't have an anti-air or something. Turn 7. Just moving my infantry out. I decided to go for this one because I have a gut feeling that I would probably get away with this capture. Even as Sami, if something attacks it, I'll still be able to get it. I also do have this tank to cover as well. I believe I do move it forward. Finally go for my comm tower. The tank, yeah, it does cover. So anything attacking here or here, my tank can get that first strike on it. Artillery, I move it here, and I plan to blow up this pipe seam rather than this top one. This top one does help a little bit with going up here maybe, and then through this port bridge, I would say. But yeah, I feel like since this is my stronger side, I want my units to be pushing forward. Make sure I capture my airport in the back. I build tank, infantry because I have the funds for it. And this infantry teleported. It looked like it didn't move it, but the replay just bugged out. So yeah, my opponent's moving a little closer to my HQ. Although I believe this is the mirrored property, and I'm already capturing it. Goes for his port. Chain captures with this comm tower to the city. Like I said, probably the only chain capture in this map other than the corners. And he builds a tank on his bottom side, and then he's looping it around towards the top. Perhaps maybe he wanted his infantry closer, which I guess the tanks do have more movement compared to infantry, but you want your tanks, I believe you would want your tanks out further. Battlecopter finally moves down, and he builds an artillery, which, okay, I guess. Maybe he would want to blow up the pipe seam just like me, but he did have enough funds to build a tank. You can see he has 1,000 left. Artillery are just 1,000 cheaper. He would have been income efficient just getting that tank. And also, he would have 2 tanks to cover each other. Because if I had this tank come in and first strike something, and he has another tank coming in first strike, this second tank here would be able to cover that. The reason I didn't build it the turn after this one is because I didn't have the funds, and that's where the artillery came in. But I am still trying to keep my tanks close. I use this tank to scout out, and I noticed that he doesn't have any of these 2 properties. So as Sami, I do feel like this is risky, but less risky as Sami. I feel like these 2 can either be this one could either be his or mine. This one could either be his or mine. Like, I believe these 2 are the most contested on Scavenger, but I feel like as Sami, I should be able to get this just okay. I'm gonna capture all my properties. Finally capture my port, but I don't plan on building anything from that port at this time. Yeah, and this tank does not cover this tank, unfortunately, so just a minor mistake, but it is hidden in forest. Infantry are moving up. Finally build a recon, and I do have enough for an anti-air. I don't think I had any gut feelings. Maybe I did, because I noticed I haven't seen anything yet, so I kind of thought, okay, maybe my opponent probably might save up for something big like a battlecopter. So yeah, even if I didn't have that gut feeling, an anti-air is always nice to have. And I did fire on this pipe seam. They're all, I believe they're 99. I just took a little pot shot there, but yeah, I took a shot on this pipe seam. Opponent's beginning to get the captures out, and he puts his battlecopter in the forest, not using the full move. Air units do not hide in forests. I have made that mistake before. That is because I have played a lot of single-player Advance Wars, and it took me a while to realize that you can see an air unit on a forest, which does make sense. But it doesn't make sense how an air unit can be stopped by a ground unit. Advance Wars, everyone! And you can see here, he looped his tank around in a U-turn, so his tank is not really going far out. Alright, moving his infantry forward. He builds another battlecopter and seems to have forgotten to move his artillery. And he base skips again. I'm already 5 units ahead of him. Oh yeah, just a lot of missteps from my opponent. So finally, capturing these properties, I am able to get 3 of them the next turn, and they can kind of these 2 over here can kind of diversify. Actually, no. Yeah, I moved this here, so this one can go for this. This infantry goes for this. This one goes for this one, and these two are interchangeable. I would probably go for this one because it is a little more risky, but I'm Sami. I'm willing to take these risks. And so I kind of move my tank back, hide my infantry in the forests, hoping to capture more properties next turn. And I do keep my tanks close together. They do cover each of my infantry fairly well, I would say. Infantry are just moving forward. They're ready to fight. They're ready to capture. Tank, infantry. I have the funds. Recon is going up here because I have less vision compared to down here, and I also felt like that I would need a tank to try and reinforce my weak side. And I believe this pipe seam will be blown up the next turn, so I built a tank in the middle. Yeah, I did take a shot at it. The artillery just wasn't highlighted as shot. So yeah, he's continuing to capture his cities. Finally moves his artillery. Looks like he does have it in position to blow up that pipe seam. Oh no, it looks like my opponent already shot the pipe seam from the artillery from the base. You are shooting it a turn earlier, but you're also missing out on unit count. And the battlecopter is just trying to hide in forests when it really cannot. And the tank, I guess my opponent decided to change his mind because the tank kind of moved like in a backwards question mark kind of route. And finally he has a decent turn. Tank, infantry. Although with 3,000 left, I probably go ahead and go for it. Recon. And battlecopter looks like it's moving the same route. Finally reveals my infantry, but it's already captured. I already have that property. So day 10. And I'm beginning to capture the properties as I've said. So now I've got these 4 right here, and the only threats are these 2 infantry, but they're not in sight. So one has to scout, and then the other has to attack, but it's not enough to interrupt it completely. So looking at this now, I am very much guaranteed to get these 4 properties. Let's go ahead and get all the cities I can. I move my infantry off of the city to attack this infantry. That is mainly because I wanted to put my tank on a better property, which is the city. It's very much well defended compared to a 0 terrain star shoal. And I put my tank in the forest because it is kind of covered, and it's keeping my tanks close together to cover each other. Yeah, it's very much covered. My anti-air, I put it on this property because I feel like this isn't a perfect wall. This could probably get shot down by a lot of things. I have a gap right here, and I didn't want it too exposed to prepare for any battlecopters. But 1, this anti-air is on good terrain, and 2, it does cover everything that is close to it. It's something I've kept in mind, something I didn't used to do when I started playing Advance Wars. This pipe scene is already broken, so this artillery has done what I wanted it to do. It is by turn 10, however. Tank moving forward, recon, trying to get vision, barely spots these 2 infantry. Although I would not be able to see this one, I would be able to see this one had I been a tile forward. And I finally decided to build my first battlecopter. And I build an artillery because I noticed I do have a little bit of a wall going on, and it's just like, alright, let's build the artillery and start to reinforce that wall. And this pipe scene is broken, so it will get to the middle a bit faster. Turn 10 for Kindle. Spots 1, spots the other. Doesn't try to attack, but it wouldn't have mattered because I am getting this property no matter what. It's just a really weird scouting option for my opponent. Probably trying to get these cities as well, but like I said, these 2 properties can be contested. So if I was anyone else, any shot on these would interrupt my cap for that turn. And the artillery is moving forward. Looks like he sees blood coming up here, so the artillery is going to move forward, capturing some properties on the bottom, keeping his tank hidden, but also very, very slowly. And again, putting his copters on forests, which do not hide air units. This time he doesn't. It looks like he is splitting his battlecopters. Sir, it's fine. If I have an anti-air on one side, then most likely the other battlecopter will be free from those. Tank moves straight down, looks like. Infantry are moving forward. Battlecopter builds an infantry tank and misses out on a base. I'm already 7 units ahead, but I'm also at this time 3 more income ahead of him. So looks like I might get a huge income lead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am now 9 income ahead of my opponent, although he does have these 2 to capture, so I am still ahead at 7. Recon finally moves in. I decide to shoot this infantry and move this other one to attack that other infantry. I think it's better to be left with 2 damaged infantry rather than 1 dead infantry and 1 healthy infantry. But yeah, it's just a minor attack order that I had planned, because I kind of felt like my opponent was building something big, but I don't know what yet. Turns out it looks like these 3 battlecopters compared to my 1 anti-air. So artillery moves in, only really covering this infantry. Infantry are moving up. I kind of surround my tank because my tank is on a shoal. 0 terrain stars, as I've said. I move this infantry here because I was kind of feeling like my opponent might want to go for this. So I do have 2 infantry that can go down and interrupt that cap. 3 actually, I'm sorry. And I finally decide to build my anti-air on the back so I can bring it over to the top. I like to have 1 anti-air cover one side and another to cover the other side, because surprise battlecopters are not very pleasant to go up against. Got like a little wall going on here. I keep my anti-air in the same spot. It does cover a lot, I'm pretty sure. So battlecopter, did I spot that battlecopter? Yeah, I would have spotted that battlecopter because of the infantry's 2 vision range. So, moving his tank forward, capturing his properties. He builds a black boat. I thought this black boat build was really, really strange. Like right now I have an infantry standing here. It cannot travel. Can it travel? Huh. Might be a bug. I thought it would get trapped on a shoal, but very rarely would you see a black boat trying to pass by an infantry on a shoal. He loads it right away. Not the best thing to do. Spot out that tank. Battlecopter is moving towards the top. Got like 3 battlecopters out already. Kind of surprised. He's got his infantry standing on his properties. He's Kindle, so you would expect that. But yeah, like a very weird defensive positioning. So my infantry finally goes back for that property. And I go for this neutral one as well. A little dangerous, and especially at 9 HP, only capturing 7 points. But it is something for my opponent to focus on. And yeah, the recon and the tank. Recon and infantry, just eliminating those 2. So my tank stands on this forest, and it reveals this this battlecopter. So I do have an anti-air hiding behind these 2 infantry, just ready to attack. And so I kind of thought, you know what, anti-air is already moving to the top. Let's try to get this one towards the bottom side. Really bad positioning here, because my opponent being Kindle can probably one-shot this infantry on 0 terrain road, which is understandable. A mistake on my end. Also, this really weird infantry wall I kind of have here. With infantry walls, you do not want your units exposed to 2 empty tiles where they will most likely die. So like this one's bad. This one's in a forest, so one will have to scout it out, and then there will be 1 empty space. This one on the bottom, yeah, like I said, against a Kindle, it'll probably die to anything strong. So yeah, it's like a little funny infantry wall going on here. exposing myself on plains, but if my opponent wanted to attack, they would be exposed on shoals. And the nice thing about Sami is if you build so much infantry and if you save money, you can tech up. I go for a Neo tank because I have the funds to build 2 more infantry. You save money, invest on infantry, which are already pretty strong, and then it gives you the chance to tech up if you're out tanked. I had 23 funds, so yeah, I was really, I guess you could say I was pretty confident. So I decided to go full-on Neo tank on the middle here. Day 12 for my opponent, putting his units on cities and is able to reveal 3 units? I'm sorry, like only 4 units. The black bow can only see this tank and infantry, and this infantry can only see these 2 infantry up here. Barely misses my anti-air though, so this was like 8,500 used to scout the center, which is you don't want to do this. This is almost like suicide basically. Tank finally comes down, and he tries to attack my infantry. Not the best idea, considering that you do have this information here. Tank does get revealed by this infantry trying to finish off mine. So yeah, I have tank exposed. I'm expecting this battlecopter to attack this, and he built a rocket. I guess you could say, okay, like, it almost feels like that his strong side, weak side, it's like fairly evenly distributed, and perhaps he wants to build a rocket to cover most of where he is blinded. Tank rolls around, plops on a city. I'm pretty sure this is okay. It's completely okay because it's going to be a really nasty counterattack. And yeah, finally, battlecopter comes in. 5 damage to my tank. Takes barely any damage from the counterattack of mine. And he builds an infantry. And looks like moves all his units up. I'm now 8 units ahead and 7 income ahead. As well as the unit value is also very high. Probably because I have this Neo tank. As well as being 8 units ahead. Finally captured that property. Thankfully, in 2 turns, because I'm also Sami. Recon moves in, tries to scout, only finds this infantry, but I do not see what's behind this forest, however. But I do go for this attack, finish off that infantry. Tank is going to move back to repair, and that anti-air is going to move up to one-shot that battlecopter, loop my tank around, go for a first strike, go for another strike, and very aggressively goes for his comm tower. Like I said, I was probably feeling very confident at this point, and I knew that I would force my opponent to try to kill this because Sami capture game is really crazy. Tank moves up to try to cover these couple over here. Neo tank is rolling through. Infantry is left down to 2 HP. Probably could have killed this, but it looks like the same situation that was up here. I'd rather have 2 damaged infantry than 1 healthy infantry. So I move up, I spot this infantry down here. Yeah, Sami. Yeah, infantry versus infantry. Sami is just crazy with it. I do reveal this tank, and I go for that strike. However, I do see this battlecopter here. My anti-air is back here. It's not going to cover that battlecopter. So I was like, ah, crap, that's not good. And so I tried to build another odd wall again. Like this very bottom, not the best thing to do. Slight death ball here. A lot of the infantry's being attacked can be covered by the artillery. Move my infantry forward as far as they can, and I do have 23,000, but I do see that my opponent has Urban Blight. and I suspected that he probably would try to go for an Urban Blight turn, and I decide to not lose so much value by keeping to just build infantry. Plus it just gives me a lot of money for the next turn. Day 13. My opponent goes for that Urban Blight. How many units are affected? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I believe 7 infantry are affected. My black boat and my tank. I'm pretty sure my black boat does take damage. So yeah, this is down to 2. Does slow down the repair gains, but yeah. See what my opponent can do. Stops the cap entirely with that hidden artillery. So now I know my opponent has an indirect. The rocket moves up. Yeah, the rockets don't have a lot of movement. So roads are their best terrain, but once you get to anything else, it's just gonna move very slowly. So this is the furthest it can go, and it's not covering a whole lot, honestly. Infantry built on the top. And yeah, just infantry are moving forward. He's built his artillery, reveals a lot of tanks on here, and builds a recon. Probably realizes at this point that he does need vision. All right, so and it looked like not a lot happened on the bottom here. I'm pretty sure if this tank moved, this battlecopter would one-shot my my battlecopter because of the plus 80% attack boost. Recon trying to attack this infantry, not a great trade because the recons are slightly weaker, and having 80% boosted is going to deal some damage to my recon. This recon does reveal this rocket, however. I use my tank to get rid of this artillery, and yeah, in 2 turns it's able to kill. The reason it looked like this tank did a lot more is because the lower your health is, the weaker the terrain stars are. Terrain stars just don't give you like a forest does not give you a flat 20% boost. The forests only give you 20% of your full HP, and obviously 20% of 10 is a lot greater than 20% of 6. I hope I was able to explain that clearly. Anti-air just decides to zigzag around. Gets incredible value by finishing off that battlecopter. Damage tank is able to repair itself back up to do something to that weakened infantry, and I do get a nice first strike. I'm on better terrain than my opponent, so I do get value off that, and yeah, I just injure these infantry up here, still getting a nice first strike from an empowered Sami infantry. Artillery, doing work on the bottom, finishing off whatever I can. That infantry dies. Okay, this I can explain. I only moved 1 tile up. I only moved 2 tiles up because I was playing on my phone. Yeah, playing Advanced Wars by Web on your phone is, if you're not pressing your buttons right, it will be a miserable experience. I could have captured this port. Oh man, it hurts. Tank moves down to repair and tries to shoot this black bow, but barely does anything. Considering there is a lot of factors as to why an 8 HP tank cannot deal at least 1 damage to a black bow. Aggressively capture this city. Aggressively capture this one as well. Forcing my opponent to do something with these. Infantry moves up, artillery moves up, and it gives me this opportunity to shoot this battlecopter. It's a Sami battlecopter, minus 10% attack, so it's not doing as great. Also, Kindle's getting a defense boost as well. But these infantry are just so powerful, they can just slowly strip away the defenses of this battlecopter. I was really hoping to kill it this turn, but I have it surrounded and I have it at 1 HP. It looks like I probably did move one of my infantry up. Neo tanks moving up here. Anti-air can cover most of my units here, and I build a stealth. All that money that I saved up last turn, I was able to build a stealth with 18,000 more. I could probably build a medium tank as well as 2 other infantry. But I don't go for that. You'll see what I go for. I build an APC. This APC has a +1 movement. It could also ferry my infantry around, but it also refuels my stealth. Stealths are notorious and infamous for their ability to hide, and they can only be attacked by fighters and other stealths. The only issue with that is if you're hiding your stealths, it uses up a lot of fuel. Therefore, my APC is able to resupply my stealth very consistently. And I decided to build tank artillery because I had like 13,000 funds left, 13,400 actually, and this is just enough for tank and artillery. Sami's artilleries are not bad. They are not weakened. Day 14 for my opponent. Let's see what he does. Moves his tank up, gets that first strike on my artillery. Little unfortunate, but I do have this backup artillery here. Infantry captures that property. Rockets shoots down my recon. I have the information already at least, so that's good on my end. Builds a Neo tank of his own, but I already had mine built like almost 2 or 3 turns ago, and yeah, looks like this pipe seems finally broken for my opponent. About like 4 turns late compared to mine. Does get a good first strike on my infantry, but doesn't seem to attempt to interrupt this cap. Probably could have dealt something here. Helicopter is just gonna stay there because what else could he do? So turn 15, artillery, as I said, covering his artillery brethren, something like that. Finally go for this port capture. I get a lot of vision attacking from this mountain. But I also get a great first strike. Only thing I cannot see is this infantry and what could be in this forest, which we now see as nothing. Infantry goes for the kill. Capture that property. I am now 10 income ahead of my opponent. Helicopter finishes off that tank. 8 HP infantry finishing off that 1 HP helicopter. I capture the city, proceed to capture more. Tank moves up and tries to shoot his black boat. I'm basically knocking on his door at this point. If this artillery was healthy, probably would have gotten a good shot off this black boat, and the Neo tank can come around. Probably would get victory march and just win by HQ cap. Move this infantry out of the way so I could get the first strike on that. I believe this was a capture, and then an anti-air kill. I don't really remember what happened. And I'm surrounding my infantry because I want this comm tower. I want it bad. If he dealt 1 damage to this, it probably would be able to stop it from this turn, but his rocket, I think, can only attack these 2 tanks, and anything following up won't be able to kill. It would be too late, and I would already be owning his comm tower. Infantry are moving forward. I move up my stealth, and I hide it. This is a rare opportunity for me to actually use a stealth because they're so expensive. However, this stealth unit was if I didn't hide it now, I'd be saving more fuel, but I guess it doesn't really matter because I'm just keeping my APC next to it no matter what, and my APC has probably more movement than my stealth, so I'm going to be able to keep resupplying that thing. Artillery is moving forward. Tank trying to move up because all my forces are kind of in a ball here. Infantry moving up, and I build a fighter just to cover my stealth. Like I said, other stealths and fighters can attack stealth, but the fighters can attack stealth and other fighters, so this is basically covering my stealth with the fighter, and it's barely just enough for infantry. Only 800 left, equivalent to 0. Alright, so turn 15, and at this point my opponent would have resigned, but my opponent's turn timed out, I guess. I did leave it to like three turns. But yeah, you can hear the You can hear the victory music already playing in the background. Nothing else happens after this turn. But yeah, 42 to 16, almost 100,000 unit value compared to my opponent, and I have like 11 properties ahead of him. I have a double time. Victory March is halfway there, almost halfway there, and yeah, it's just really difficult for my opponent to come back at this point. Knocking on his door. All he has is just like 4 infantry and a black boat to defend against all this. So yeah, my opponent probably should have resigned at this point. But yeah, that I would say a dominating victory for my side here. I guess the only real things that stood out as a Sami player is being able to capture properties with damaged units and being able to take a bit more risks when it comes to trying to capture these properties. I played very aggressively as Sami, and I wanted to. I was a little nervous because Kindle is very strong, but in the end, I would say I made the least amount of mistakes. I tried to be concise, and I was able to pull through, and that carried me to the very dominating win here, I would say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Expect more Sami replay commentaries to come out. This has been Advanced Warrior, and you all have my warmest regards. Please take care.